So I literally have done it all. And I am using my platform to show people what is out there. So I'm really not about telling you what you should do or, what I think you should do. I just want to give you your options and show you where you can do it. And to me, like all movement is good movement.
Welcome to Suburban Warrior, the podcast that will impact, inspire, and empower you to transform your mindset and become the badass warrior that you are. I'm your host and fellow warrior, Chrissy Pfeiffer, former clinician and corporate marketing exec turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, performance and life coach, and mom to 4 not-so-little warriors. Each week, I will bring you honest conversations with inspiring guests to share their stories of resilience, optimism, success, and simple yet effective strategies so that you transform your thoughts and change your behavior to get the results you want in your life. You will be empowered to take action, warrior up, and believe in you. Let's do this. What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another episode of the Suburban Warrior Podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Pfeiffer, and we have a really fun episode for you today because we all know the importance of movement and exercise in our daily lives, right? That's no secret or groundbreaking news. But what we might not know is how important it is to honor our bodies and find the right type of movement and exercise throughout our lives because it does change, right? As women in midlife, as our bodies change, so does our exercise needs. And exercise is really important for every aspect of our body, starting at the cellular level for immunity, muscles, bones, skin, and pretty much every organ in our body, and especially our metabolic health. Exercise and movement is really one of the main pillars of our health, along with nutrition, sleep, getting out in nature, getting some sunshine, and exercise should never really feel like a chore, but of course it does sometimes, and we don't want to do it. But I think that if we find variety and fun and excitement and community in our exercise and movement, then it can change our entire perspective really on it and therefore change our bodies and our health, which is, why I'm really excited to welcome my guest today, Brooke Goldstein. She is a blogger and content creator who focuses on all things fitness and wellness. Brooke is not a fitness professional and gives her audience the unique perspective of just a regular person doing all the things in hopes of motivating others to try something new. Brooke uses her social media to share all the best spots in and around the Philadelphia area for fitness, beauty, and other wellness trends. Her blog, Fitness Finds on the Main Line, takes a deeper dive into hot wellness topics like contrast therapy, microloading, and activewear trends. Brooke is a recovering lawyer turned full-time stay-at-home mom to 3 with 1 in high school, 1 in kindergarten, and 1 in between. Welcome to the podcast, Brooke.
Oh, thank you so much, Chrissy. I am so excited about this. This is actually my very first podcast.
Yay! Oh, I love it. Well, I
Thank
promise
you for
you
inviting me.
this will be fun.
Well, I was just going to say that I'm all about sharing. So this is just another format to share and get information out there and give people choices and options and grow a community.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's obviously what I'm all about here. And I know it's what you're all about also, on your social media and on your blog, because it's really about sharing the information that we know and helping other women sort of find joy in the journey. Right.
Sure.
And so, listen, exercise is such an important topic and fitness and movement. And I think, especially for women in midlife, because, as we age and grow, like I said, the needs of our body really changes and grows. And we have to sort of give ourselves grace and honor our bodies and what their needs are. So I'm really excited to sort of get into all the nitty gritty of what are the new hot fitness trends? What are some new classes and all of these fun things? But first, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? How
Sure.
did you get to being a fitness blogger?
I guess it's a sort of an unlikely journey. I've always been very active. Always, fitness has always been a part of my life. But like I said, I'm not a fitness professional. I never had a career in fitness. I actually was a lawyer before this. So very unlikely path here. I grew up in the Philadelphia area. I went to Penn State for undergrad, Temple for law school, and I moved to New York City. I did the big firm thing in New York City for several years. Moved back to the Philadelphia area to start a family. And I realized after two kids that balancing the demands of a job in the law and motherhood didn't work for me. So I stopped practicing and I became a stay-at-home mom. And one more additional child later, then the pandemic hit. And I was craving community. Obviously, I was working out at home then, as a lot of people were.
Yeah.
And I really was looking for interaction. I mean, I think everybody was kind of at that time looking for human interaction. So I started hosting these community classes, virtual fitness classes. Now, I was not leading them because I'm not a fitness professional, but I have a lot of friends who are fitness professionals. So I was calling on yoga instructors, bar instructors. I did HIIT classes with people, and I would just kind of assemble groups of women, local or not, and do these fitness classes. And they were all free. It was all just a way of building a community. And from there, I decided, like, you know what? People really want to know information. I want to know information. I want to learn. And with the backdrop of fitness, I've always enjoyed writing. I decided to start my blog. And from my blog, I kind of grew my social media. People like to see little tidbits of things. So a lot of my social media is just that, where I'm going to certain workouts and I'm sharing what a studio looks like, what an instructor is like, what you can expect in the studio, what you can expect for the workout, what you should be wearing. And I'm not just talking about your clothes, but your footwear. Like, these are all the questions that kind of prevent people from maybe making going into a new place or doing a new workout or trying something new. So I'm trying to be that person who goes in there, gives you a glance at it, and then you can decide if it's something that you want to do. And Chrissy, I will do any kind of workout. I literally have done them all. Over the weekend on SNL, I don't know if you watch SNL, Timothy Chalamet did the first skit on SNL was this bungee class and it was actually a really funny skit. The women were suspended from bungees and you should go back and watch it. I posted
I'm
it
going to, for
yesterday.
sure.
It's hysterical, but there is a class like that in the area and I have done it. So I literally have done it all. And I am using my platform to show people what is out there. So I'm really not about telling you what you should do or, what I think you should do. I
Right.
just want to give you your options and show you where you can do it. And to me, like, all movement is good movement. So the best workout is
Absolutely.
one you do.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that. The best workout is when you do. And that's the thing too, that we realize, I think, as we get a little older, that really any kind of movement is really what we need. And it can be anything, any kind of movement. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk about the different
Yeah.
classes and everything that you know.
Yeah.
But first, I just want to touch on something that you mentioned, because you said you were craving community. And I love that you recognize that in yourself and did something about it, because I do think that a lot of stay-at-home moms, even working moms that are not really don't have the time to be around other women, and during the pandemic, it got even highlighted even more. Just craving that community, being around other women, being around like-minded people,
Yeah.
just really. So I think that it's really amazing that you felt that, and then also took action and did something about it so that other people would feel in community with women. So kudos to you for doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about fitness and movement, and sort of, like you said, I don't think that there's any right or wrong exercise for anybody. I think that it's so individualized. We are all our own people. We all have different needs. And I think honoring our body and trying to listen to our body is really important. But sometimes you have to start somewhere, because there are some people that, don't really, have a
Yeah.
fitness journey yet.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, because to your point, I also love that you said, I've been to many classes as well, and it's overwhelming when you walk in for the first time. You're like, oh my God, what is this? What am I doing? Because you have all the regulars and they have their spots and they know what to grab and what to wear. So the fact that you're kind of going in and doing all the hard work for us is pretty awesome. So let's talk about some of these different classes.
Yeah.
So let's start with, what are some classes that you would recommend, or studios that you would recommend for people that might just be starting out moving their bodies? Like,
Sure.
what are some suggestions you have on that?
Okay. So during going back to the pandemic, and then I promise you I won't keep talking about that time in
Yeah,
our life.
hey,
But
it happened. So
that was a time where like this virtual world of working out at home blew up. Like beyond just the Peloton, we saw all different formats were moving onto a virtual platforms and giving us different varieties that you can do at home. So while I think that the virtual platform is wonderful, it's great for people to be in their own homes, comfortable, learning about things. There are so many reasons why I think you should be getting out there. One, you're missing out on that community piece of it, which is so important. When you find a studio, a workout, something that you enjoy, you're going to want to go all of the time. And community
yeah,
is a big piece of that. I also think that, and I'm going to get into talking about strength training because strength training is really, really, really big right now for women our age. I
yeah,
think it's really important to be strength training with a professional. I'm all about deferring to the professionals. And especially when it comes to strength training, a lot of women are not very used to this type of exercise. So you need to learn from somebody what to be doing, how to be doing it. It's so important when you're lifting heavier that you are using the right form to prevent injury.
yeah.
And if you're not doing the exercises properly, you're not going to get the benefits of it. So I think for something like that, leaving the home is really important. Where to go? So it was that was like the big,
Yeah. So I was, yes, like, let's talk about strength training,
yeah.
right?
Okay.
So are there specific studios or classes that you would recommend for strength training?
So for somebody who is new to strength training, which I think a lot of women our age are pretty intimidated by it. I
Yeah.
was, and I've been doing all kinds of fitness for my whole life, but this was something that was a little bit new to me. So first of all, women have this misconception that, you lift a weight, you're going to bulk up.
Right.
And that is not true at all. It actually cannot be further from the truth. I have been on like this building muscle journey for the past 2 years, and I'm
Yeah.
still not where I want to be. I wish it was that easy. Like it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of changing your diet really to grow muscles, especially as you get older. Like I'm in my mid 40s and, we can talk about what happens then, but, but, that really it is a misconception that I like to get rid of right now, that
Yeah.
you really bulking is not, you can tone up, but you will not bulk up unless you are intentionally working towards that goal, which most women are not. And then
Right.
the other thing about going into a gym and walking up to the weight room and kind of looking at these weights, what do I do? I think that is a really tough hurdle for women our age as well. Gym intimidation is a real thing.
Yeah.
So my number one suggestion for if you're looking to learn about strength training and where to go for it is to get a personal trainer.
Okay.
You want somebody who is going to be watching over you for the reasons that I mentioned, for form, for effectiveness, injury prevention. And if you are one-on-one with a trainer, they're going to know your body, know what you need. And to me, that's really important. That's
Yeah.
what I do. I go to a personal trainer once a week. And I realize that's an expensive option. So sometimes personal trainers will do 2 to 3 group training sessions, which is a nice option because you're still getting that like personal interaction. You're still getting someone who is really focused on your specific form, and you can still meet your goals the same way. A lot of studios in the area have created strength training programs. So Orange Theory is an example of them. They have
Yeah.
just a strength program now, and it's good. I've done it.
Okay.
So there are a lot of places recognize this trend. I hate to call it a trend, but it is.
Yeah.
And they're pivoting and they're creating more strength focused programs, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah. And it really is. I mean, it's not really a trend. It's just a shift in
Hmm.
the thinking because, we were told, certainly back in the 90s, but even in the, early 2000s, it was all about cardiovascular,
Yeah.
right? Work out,
Mhm.
sweat, get your heart pumping, just keep jumping around until you're ready to flop. But,
Yeah.
now we're learning with new science that's available that how important it is specifically for women in midlife who are so prone to losing muscle mass for us to be doing strength training,
Yep.
not just for our muscles, but for our bones, so that we don't
Yep.
develop osteopenia.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah, it's like so important.
Totally.
Okay, so Orange Theory, that's interesting that they have a new strength
A lot,
focus.
I mean, a lot of programs. I even like Megan Roop. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's a person who is pretty like well known. She has a virtual platform and she's a dancer. So she does like a dancing format that's a lot
Yeah,
of cardio. And now she even hired a trainer now to run her specific strength training program. So it's like seeing that, I was like, wow, like really
yeah,
everybody is catching on. And like you said, like strength training is combating muscle loss because at our age, it's harder to be building muscle. And
yeah,
if you start, the sooner you start, the better. It's strengthening your bones, like you mentioned. It's also improving metabolism.
yeah.
So I think that is a big one for me. And along those lines, improving metabolism, I think zone 4 interval training is also a big one to
Okay.
incorporate. I just recently started incorporating it once a week. Now, this is zone 4 is
Yeah,
when,
tell us what that is so
okay.
people can
Okay,
understand.
so it's high interval intensity. So I'm sorry, high intensity working out. And usually
Okay.
you're doing this in intervals because you can't, it's not something that you can sustain for longer than 10 minutes. Like your intervals could be anywhere from between 2 and 10 minutes, and you're working at 80 to 90% of your max. So you're going hard for bursts of time. And this is something that's going to help improve your metabolism. And I learned recently, I did this VO2 max test. So this is like one of the benefits for me having this platform is that I get a lot of wellness people reaching out to me and like,
Yeah.
try this test. And did this VO2 max test, which was really cool. I was all hooked up to all kinds of monitors with a face mask, and it really calculates your breath while you're exercising. And
Yeah.
from there, your breath, you can measure so much information on how you should be eating, how you should be working out. And I decided from my results there, I realized that my metabolism needed some help when I was
Okay.
working out. And so that's why I started to include this high intensity interval. And it is hard. I mean, I
Yeah.
have to say,
So
like,
what kind of classes are there that are this high
conditioning
intense?
classes.
What is it?
Conditioning classes.
Okay, so they're called
So,
conditioning.
yeah.
Okay.
So if you
Okay.
find a studio that offers a conditioning class, I go to a place called X Training in Bryn Mawr and
Okay.
I offer it 3 times a week. But a lot of places will have certain conditioning classes.
Is this different than like a HIIT class?
No, I think it's kind of the same, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah. But you want to
Okay.
make sure it is that really that like
High
intensity.
intensity.
It's
Yes. Yes.
not like
Interval training.
jogging on the treadmill. It's not as a pace where you can have a conversation. You cannot have
Right.
a conversation at this.
Right. Right.
And it's hard.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I also think for women our age too, yoga is really, really important. And I'm not necessarily talking about like the hot yoga, the power yoga. Those classes are great. I mean, I love those kind of classes, but you don't need to be doing that to get the benefits of yoga. Balance is really, really important.
Yeah.
Being in tune with your body, kind of like going inwards when you're in a yoga class and focusing on the poses. And honestly, like your balance changes day to day. So it's really like fascinating when you can get that closed in a class and see and work on things like balance and flexibility, which again, all these things are so helpful for women who are in perimenopause, menopause, and after.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think that, especially when I was younger, my workouts were very much like hit, boxing, jumping around, and then as I sort of hit my 40s, I realized how important it was to be doing yoga and not just like you said, hot power yoga, which are great.
Mhm.
Those are sort of feel like detoxes and you just sweat everything out and feel it, that is a like serious workout as well, but incorporating in the more restorative yoga classes, to your point, I mean, balance is so important, and just stretching, giving yourself the mobility work and the stretching work and being able to sort of, take the time for that is so important. And I think that we forget about those needs of our body, sometimes. So I think
Yeah.
that's a really, really important suggestion. Tell us a little bit about sort of like what are some new like hot trends or in the fitness world? Like are there new classes, new studios, things that are sort
Sure.
of just hitting or are new that people aren't aware of or maybe they've heard of but have no idea what it is?
Pilates is really big right now.
Yes.
I actually, back in August, and I can link this article, I did a whole article on breaking down Pilates because a lot of people, they say they want to do Pilates, but what does that exactly mean? And there are studios that may look very, very different that offer Pilates. So
Yes.
I can kind of get into all of that with you
I
now.
would love to know that because I do agree. I think Pilates is so wonderful, but I feel like the Pilates of like 5 years ago is very different than the Pilates of today. And to
Well,
your
there's just
point, like,
different kinds.
yeah, different studios offer different kinds. So it's such a general term. I'd
Yeah.
love for you to break it down a little bit for us.
Sure, sure. And then you can also like link this article because it is pretty comprehensive and it also
Yeah.
tells you where you can go for different in the area. So if you're local, where you can go for different types of Pilates classes. But Pilates, everybody is talking about Pilates. My friend, a good friend of mine owns LSF Pilates in Wayne, and she just keeps adding classes onto the schedule and they are all waitlisted. Everybody wants, she gets more and more reformers. She now is in a bigger space. People want to do Pilates. And I think the reason why people want to do it is it's a low impact, effective workout. And so classical Pilates is probably what you were referring to, what it used to look like. I mean, that is like the ballerinas. It started actually in New York with like all the ballerinas were doing this, actually to like help with injury, healing when they were dancing and they were getting injury. Then they would go to this special, physical therapy place in New York and that's where Pilates started to be introduced. And classical Pilates is very set and form. There is a very specific sequence and there is this very specific method. And if you are not at this level, you can't be doing these exercises. So contemporary Pilates grew out of that, and that allows people to, or instructors to kind of take their class in different directions. And that's what LSF Pilates is. I mean, she has a classical background with training, but she now has a contemporary studio. The reformers look a little bit different. The equipment looks a little different, and the classes are going to feel a little different. And then you get into, and now I'm talking about all reformers, and I will go back to mat Pilates, but then you
Okay.
get into the Legree megaformer. And I don't know if you've ever heard this
I
term, but
have
it's like
not.
solid core. So you
Uh,
know solid core
I
because
know solid core. Yes,
solid core is very
I did one of
popular.
those classes.
Very popular, but that is not Pilates. So there is a
Okay.
misconception that that is Pilates because it's on a machine that looks like a reformer,
Totally.
but it's not a reformer. So it has
Okay.
springs of resistance, much like a reformer does, but it is a strength class. And I go to solid core every week and I use that as one of my strength training days. That is a class where you are like pushing your muscles. And that is
Yes.
not at all what Pilates is.
Okay.
And then aside from just the reformer is the most popular piece of Pilates equipment that people think of when they hear the word Pilates, but mat Pilates is actually some of the best Pilates. And that's just done on a mat. Like you don't even need the reformer. There are other pieces of equipment. There's a chair that you can use. And these are like classical Pilates studios, Body Precision in Villanova. I think it's in Villanova. Yeah. They're a very well-known classical Pilates studio in our area. They have towers, they have springboards, and actually the springboard was invented by a woman from Narberth, which is really
Oh,
cool. Her name is Ellie Herman, and she has a studio actually in Narberth now.
that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so Pilates, I could do this whole podcast about Pilates. There's
Just on Pilates.
information.
Yeah.
But Pilates is a very popular thing right now. And I do think like some of this has to do with social media. There is, a lot of content creation happening on
Yes.
reformers that people are like, oh, I want to be doing this. This looks pretty and this looks cool. But it is really good for your body and it's a low impact workouts and it's accessible to all types of abilities and types of levels of experience. And again, it's another one where you are like really focusing on your body and you can look inward and work different muscle groups than you may be used to.
Yeah. And aren't there classes as well where it's like Pilates sculpt? So they're like adding weights and stuff in too.
And that's
So
contemporary. Yes, that's a
yeah,
contemporary class. Yeah.
right, right. And that,
Yeah, there's definitely more athletic Pilates classes. There's a great one in Phoenixville at True Fit Pilates where they actually offer True Fit Pilates in Phoenixville offers both classical and contemporary Pilates. They have a very big Pilates studio,
okay.
but they have a great athletic class that incorporates kettlebells and weights in on a reformer.
Right. Oh, on the reformer. Okay.
But I think
That's,
you have to be someone, I think for that class, you have to have taken a certain number of,
yeah.
reformer classes.
You would have to be on the reformer before.
You have to be on the
Yeah.
reformer. Yes. But all of these studios, and this is actually, I wanted to say this too, there's a lot of places in our area and all over that offer these starter classes. So you're
Yeah.
not walking into a place for the first time. And Tribe is a perfect example because if you've taken a class at Tribe, which is a popular class for people in their 40s and 50s to go to, and you walk in and they're going, I mean, they're teaching you things, you're just going. You're not really getting any help on the equipment and what to do and how to load the equipment up, and you're just doing the exercises. They have an intro class where it's a series. I think it's like maybe like 7 classes that you go to that everyone's in your position. They've never really worked with equip barbells and they teach you, they can go at a much slower pace. So a
Right.
lot of studios have these intro classes. Pure Barre mainline, Pure Barre, that's part of their formats. And they're going to go at a different pace and they're going to really like take you back and start you at step 1. And so
Yeah.
that's a nice option for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you mentioned in the introduction or earlier about when we were talking about SNL, the bungee class. And I think that there's a lot of sort of interesting classes like that people just don't know about.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about sort of the things that aren't on social media all the time, or that
Yeah.
maybe some methods that aren't as popular that might be fun or just something different to
Yes.
try
Yes.
that we might not know about.
Okay, there are so many great things out there. I'm laughing because this is like what gets me really excited. So the
Yeah.
bungee workout is actually in the whole skit on Saturday Night Live, not to go back to this, but it's not really a workout. That one is like, you're kind of like flying in the air. Like it's not really, we're not really burning calories here. But some of these things, and that's okay sometimes. Like some of these
Right.
things are fun. So every June, I do this 30-day studio tour. So I go to a different studio every day in June and I post about it and share about it. And this kind of forces me to go like try new things and get out there. And so I've come across some really fun and interesting classes. Going on the interesting experience classes, because I love that.
Yes.
Floating yoga on a stand-up paddleboard is something that we have in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
If you've never done it before, it is such an experience. And the place that we have in Philadelphia, it is on I don't even know what floor it is, but it's overlooking the whole city and the sunrise. It's all windows where you do the pool that you do it in. And it is just one of those incredible experiences. Doing yoga on a paddleboard. The paddleboards are tethered to the sides of the pool so that you don't balance is not as much of an issue as it would be if you were like in the bay on
Yeah.
a paddleboard. But they move at a slow pace, and that's just a really cool experience. A really fun class that I discovered during one of my 30-day studio tours was pole dancing. And
Oh, that sounds fun.
it was really hard. I had no idea how strong the women who do these dances on
Oh,
poles are. I mean, I could barely, and if I would have to go back into like find this reel, but I posted a reel of me like trying to hold myself up onto the pole. But that was an experience. I mean, first of all, it is like this place was like the real deal in South Philly. I pull up, it's like this like rickety door. I'm walking up these steps, and as I'm walking up the steps, the studio's on the 2nd floor. There's no doorway, so it's just like you're open. The stairs go right into the studio, and there is a woman like right there on a pole, flipping around. She's like dressed in nothing, flipping around, doing all kinds of spins upside down. I mean, she was fascinating to watch. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my God, am I doing this? Thank God I was not doing that. I was in a very basic intro level class. And when you do anything close to that, I could barely even like hold my body up on the pole. But it is like a real, I discovered in this studio, like this is a thing that, someone may find a love for this. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it requires a tremendous amount of strength. And so that's why like getting out there and trying all these different classes and giving people the opportunity to see what you can do. There's so much for us out there for us. Another fun one is the Kanga boots. Have you ever seen the Kanga
No.
boots? So they're like, again, I'll have to like post this somewhere on your show notes, but they're these boots that almost look like ski boots with these like, it's something that you bounce on.
Oh, wow.
There's a
Like
woman,
springs?
they're not really springs. It's like, I'm not describing it well, but you put these
Okay.
boots on and you jump up and down.
My gosh.
It's something that's so different and so wild. And there's this woman, Vern, who does it out of New Jersey, and she does it all over the Philadelphia area, and she'll bring the boots to you. And again, it's like,
Wow.
I did this for my mom for her 70th birthday. I had a Kanga boot class for her and her friends. It's just something that's different, and you may
So fun.
get the best workout, but again, it's an experience. It's something that makes people laugh together, like you're part of this community, and it's so much more than just sweating.
Yeah. I love that. So kanga boots. So like literally like you're a kangaroo
Yes.
jumping around.
I don't know where they came from, but they're fun. They're fun and different.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds so fun. And I think it's really, important to try to mix it up and do something different and do a fun class every now and then, especially if you go
Yes.
with friends. And,
Totally.
like you said, it's not just about burning the calories. It's about, laughing and finding joy and being in community and just challenging yourself and your body mentally, physically, emotionally to just do something different.
Yeah.
So those all sound really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, and you mentioned contrast therapy
Yeah.
in your introduction. I like, what is that?
Okay, so contrast therapy, I just wrote at the end of every year, I write a big blog article on like my predictions for the upcoming year. What's
Okay,
big in 2025. And I think contrast therapy is going to be big in 2025. It's been around for a bit. Contrast therapy is where, well, there are different, like in the context that I'm talking about it, I'm talking about a sauna and a cold plunge. So going from
oh,
a sauna into a cold plunge.
okay,
People use contrast therapy, like physical therapists use it for helping injuries. They would do a body part in the heat, in the cold. But around here, there are tons of places that are opening actually like December, January, February that offer both in one spot.
okay.
And I don't know if have you ever done the cold plunge before?
I have done a cold plunge. I
Okay.
don't do it at home on a daily basis. I have friends that do, but I have a sauna in my house, so I do the heat therapy.
So you know the benefits of
So
the
yes, yeah.
yeah,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
absolutely. I know the benefits of both, and I just don't have an ability to cold plunge at home.
Oh, that's well,
I
so there
have
are
done.
studios now that are opening where you can do it.
Yeah. So,
So yeah.
like, what are some of the studios that are opening that have both options? And is the idea that you do it one after the other?
Yes. So
Okay.
what it's supposed to, when you do them together, it's amplifying all the benefits.
Okay.
So like the benefits of the sauna, are like to detoxify and for like skin health and all kinds of immunity
Yeah.
and then the cold plunge helps with recovery. It speeds up recovery and pain management, and it helps like your mood. Like it's
Yeah.
total like mood lifter.
Yeah.
So they're saying when you do these things together in a row, going from the heat to the cold, it makes those benefits that much stronger. So this is a wellness trend that I am seeing a lot of, and it's evidenced by what's opening in our area. In this blog post, I listed tons of places where you can go now, whereas 6 months ago, someone asked me where they could go to do this. And I was like, there's nowhere. Like, and now
Yeah.
all of a sudden we're getting a ton. So there's a place that just opened in Havertown. There's a place opening in Bryn Mawr. There are these mobile places, which are really cool, where they come to you.
Oh wow.
I had this big unit in my driveway for a couple of days, which was a sauna and a cold plunge. And I was doing it every morning in my driveway. Those kind of mobile experiences are great for retreats. So like a studio that is
Oh,
having a
yeah.
retreat, they could do that, or a gathering with with friends. There's another company in Philly that does it. But contrast therapy is something that I'm seeing a lot of and that people are really interested in. And
Yeah.
big on social media too, people going in cold
Yeah.
plunges.
And what's funny is the contrast therapy, it really is about just taking us back to sort of our ancient roots as human beings, where that's sort of how we lived.
Yeah.
We lived in the cold and the heat, and we didn't have all the comforts of modern life and being in our homes and being in temperature controlled rooms, with light and all these things all the time. So our bodies had to naturally adapt to heat and cold all the time. And we sort of have taken that away from our bodies, and not allowed them to be forced to adapt to these temperatures, which again is just another way that causes our body these, chronic inflammation and oxidative stress, and, it really affects our metabolic health. So while the heat and the cold do all these amazing things, it's really, getting down to your cellular level, it's innately how we were meant to function. So now we just have places that we have
Love
to
it.
go in order to challenge our bodies through heat and
I mean,
cold.
we have so much out there. Like this just goes to show like wellness. Like I do think like everyone's having this like wellness awakening. Like I
Yeah,
post pandemic, there was like a spiritual awakening. Now everyone, maybe it's just my age, but everyone around me, they want to get healthy. They want to do the things. They want to
yeah,
learn. And there is so much out there, like so
yes,
many experts and so much that you can do to improve your health and then improve your lifestyle and your way of life overall.
yeah, absolutely. All right, well then tell us what microloading is,
Oh, micro.
because
So
I don't know that term at all.
these are
So I'd
just
love to
things
know what
that
that means.
again, these are like buzzwords that I'm hearing around. So
Yeah,
when I hear these things, this is kind of like how I choose to write certain articles. It's things that I'm hearing a lot of people talking about that I want to just look into a little bit more myself because I'm curious. My blog is like really an extension of my life. So
yeah.
if I'm curious, I'm going to find out some more information and I'm going to share it with my audience. So microloading, a lot of you may see a lot of women walking around wearing vests right now, right?
Oh yes, yes,
But
yes. Oh yeah.
so microloading is that a little bit. It's wearing vests, but not heavy vests. Like I'm talking about you're adding weight where it's small enough that you can still do exactly what you could do without it. So
Right.
I'm talking about adding 12 pound vest. I'm talking about adding a 5 pound vest. And you can wear that 5 pound vest on your normal walk, on your normal run. And it's just going to increase your performance and your endurance. And it will just, again, like speed up your results.
Okay.
But
Yeah. And like I have seen, like, I mean, I do wear ankle weights when I work out and do certain exercise. But I have seen a lot of women put the weights, what are supposed to be ankle weights, on your wrist, and like
yeah.
literally like 1 or 2 pound weights, just doing, household activities like your normal ADLs, with weights on. So, okay. So I just didn't know that was the term for it. Microloading.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like it.
And
Okay.
there's a vest now that does that, like that's
Yeah.
what I believe in. It's called a morpho. So it's actually like a very sleek looking vest. It's not a big bulky vest and it's
Yes.
a lot of weight. Yeah.
Okay. And then let's talk a little bit about activewear,
Mhm.
because obviously, it's funny. Like whenever you go to like Europe, like no one is wearing activewear. Like, and you go like in the United States, like anywhere, like
Anywhere, supermarket. Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, everywhere. It's like that's what we wear, from women, in like teens
Yeah.
and all the way to, God only knows how old. So it's what we wear.
Uh-huh.
But like there are a lot of trends. There's so many companies out there. I'd love to sort of get your take on it. I'm seeing a lot now about like, the harmful, how polyester and microplastics are in our active wear, and how we have to be careful. I mean, to your point, there's just so much information out there that like it's really hard to sort of sift through all of it and stay sane at the same time.
I agree.
Right? It's like, oh my God, I thought I'm just working out, and now you're telling me I'm doing something bad for myself because I have certain clothes on. So I'd love to hear your take on the latest activewear trends. What's good? What's hot? What's not? What do you think?
Okay, so you certainly do not need the fit to work out. Like, I want to
Yes.
make that clear. You can
Yep.
exercise in anything,
Yes.
but I do think it makes a difference. I think it makes a difference in your confidence. When you feel good, you're going to do good. And I also feel that, when you're in a high quality legging, that is meant to do the exercises and meant to be sweat in, it's not going to get in the way of your performance and it's going to stand up against all the sweat and the
Yeah.
performance. So I do think it makes a difference. I am not about the fast fashion Amazon activewear. Don't come at me, but I just think that it's important to spend money on a few good pieces that will last you through all the sweats, all the washes. And some of the pieces that I like the most right now. And I was just curious, like how many leggings I have in my drawer. So I counted last night. And I do have to say, like, I put my stuff up on Poshmark a lot. So this isn't even like all my leggings, but I have 54 pairs of leggings right now. And
Wow.
these are
That's a
pairs, I
lot.
mean, but
Damn, girl. That's a lot of
I
leggings.
do need to, I am like, it's part of my job to kind of try out and test
Yes.
out all of the latest brands. But I do think that activewear is part of it and it is important. I'm a fan of Lululemon. There's a reason why they're so popular and why they've been around forever and why people love them and people will pay the big dollars for them.
Yeah.
I also really like Beyond Yoga. Recently, I really like them. They're comfortable, they're flattering. I think these things are important, especially when you're getting out there and you're kind of like maybe a little bit nervous to get back out into the gym. It's important to feel good in what you're wearing. And then I'm trying out a new brand, new to me, called Adenola. I have a package upstairs. I'm hoping to try it out today. This is like a UK brand from the UK. The price
Okay.
point isn't as high as Lululemon, but I've heard good things, but I'll keep you posted and I'll write a post about it.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I love that. I actually think I might have seen an ad for that
Well,
brand.
so Kendall Jenner is now like the face.
That's what I
So
saw.
that's
Oh my
why
gosh.
it's
Exactly.
been gaining.
Yes.
It came out of nowhere and people are now talking about it. So
Okay.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. I'd love to know about that. Okay. So your favorite brands right now that you like are Beyond
Beyond you.
Yoga and Lulu. I do have to say, I mean, I remember back in the day when Lulu first came out, it was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable how much I'm
I
spending
know.
for leggings.
I
But I
know.
have to say, I mean, they don't fall apart. I
No,
mean, they
no.
and they really are, I think, pretty good quality leggings that will
I think
last
it's
as
the
I
best.
really as long as you want them to. You're going to
Yeah.
be, selling them or getting rid of them before
Yep.
they
And
go
they have a
anywhere.
buyback program too, where they'll buy your leggings back.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I know you're local to the Philadelphia area. Before we wrap up, I know there's some like interesting things coming up in the area. Tell us a little bit about those for
Oh
our
yeah.
local listeners.
So we have a great community out here, mainline Philadelphia area. So in February and March, which is kind of like a, dull, dark month, we have
Yeah.
some really exciting fitness things happening. So Thrive Pilates, which is in Philadelphia, they are doing a series of roof deck classes at the Four Seasons on their pool deck. So it's indoor, but overlooking the city. So the pool is up really high, overlooking the cities. And I think they started this week and it's going through February and March. And
Awesome.
that is an awesome experience. Like it's a
Yeah.
little bit pricey, but you're paying for the experience of being in such a beautiful environment and enjoying the Pilates class. Another hotel that does something really fun in the area, W Hotel, does hydroga in the winter. And I posted
Ooh.
about this recently. So this is in their outdoor pool, but it's an outdoor heated rooftop pool. And you do a yoga class and they bring in different area yoga instructors to run a yoga class in the pool. And it's really cool to see the different things that you can do in the pool when you're dealing with zero gravity.
Yeah.
So that's another fun experience class that the W Hotel is running through. I think they have all of their classes up for February and they'll probably continue in March. So they do this in the
Cool.
winter. For the first time ever, the flower show, the Philadelphia Flower Show, which is in the beginning of March, they're having a yoga class in the flower show. And I am so
Wow.
excited that they're doing this because the flower show is a huge part of Philadelphia. And I just think it would be the most awesome setting for something like
Yes.
and everyone's going to get headphones so that it won't disrupt the people that are around. They won't hear an instructor calling out poses, but you'll have
Right.
headphones and you'll hear the instructor. And then you get access to the flower show.
Wow. What a like beautiful surroundings to do yoga in.
Oh, I know you should
Yeah.
come to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds amazing. Those sound so fun and like truly like an experience during your workout and
Right.
something different, like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Well, Brooke, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I thank you so much. And I love what you do. I love that you're sort of putting yourself out there and sharing, with all of your followers and everyone on social media, what it's like to go in and try a new class. Because, honestly, I do think sometimes that is a barrier to people just sort of getting out and trying new things. And after seeing what you go through, I hopefully more and more people are challenging themselves or just putting themselves out there and saying, I'm just going to go and I'm going to try this today because why not? Right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So thank you so much. And I'm so excited that I now learned what, contrast therapy and micro loading are. I've learned some new things. And you mentioned so many awesome things that we are going to link in all of the show notes for my listeners. And they can find you. Your blog is Fitness Finds on the main line. And so is your Instagram.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, great. So we'll make sure we link all that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing all of your fun knowledge and expertise to just get us all moving. And like I said, find joy in the journey.
I love it. Thank you, Chrissy.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll be back next week with another awesome suburban warrior here to share her story and expertise with you. And until then, don't forget to follow, rank, and review the podcast. And you can follow me on Suburban Warrior at Instagram and on TikTok. See you guys next time.